Hi cuties, how are you? I hope you are all good. Why do we breathe, children? We breathe to live. Yes, when you run fast, what will happen? What will happen? Yes, you are right. You will be breathing so fast. Okay, if you want to run fast, you need more energy. So, there is a link between the energy and the breathing. So, we can link this energy and the breathing by the process of respiration. Okay, children? As we think, breathing is not an easy process. So, it's a complex process, but it is very interesting to learn respiratory system. Now, what is respiratory system? Respiratory system provides oxygen to the tissues of the body, then removes carbon dioxide from the tissues. As we all know, we inhale oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide. There are three major parts forming the respiratory system. They are airway, lungs, muscles of respiratory system. Before we could see these topics, first we will learn the components of the respiratory system so that we can understand the functioning of these major parts easily. Now children, observe this image and the video. Children, as we have seen in the video, the components of the respiratory system are given. Look at the image, children. This is the nasal cavity, nostrils, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchioles and alveoli. Diagram. The components of the respiratory system are nasal cavity, nostrils, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchioles and alveoli and diaphragm. So, the air enters through the nostrils and it reaches the nasal cavity and it passes through pharynx and the pharynx opens into the lung and the air reaches the trachea. This is the windpipe and the last end of the trachea is splitted into two bronchs and the bronchs are further divided into bronchioles. At the end, the bronchioles are further divided and reaches alveoli. Diaphragm is the largest muscle in our body. So, what are the functions of these components? Shall we learn? Okay, children. Shall we move on to learn the functionings of these organs? Let us learn. This is the organs of the respiratory system. What are all the organs? Yes, as we have seen in the image, we have nose, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, lungs and alveoli. Okay, children. So, now observe the image. The components of the respiratory system can be divided into two parts, the upper respiratory system and the lower respiratory system. Okay, this is the structural classification. We can classify the respiratory passage by functional. So, what are they? Conducting one and the respiratory one. Okay, first we will see the structural part of the respiratory system. The upper respiratory system contains nasal cavity, nostrils and pharynx, and the lower respiratory system contains larynx, trachea and the bronchi. Okay, if we classify this respiratory system functionally, we can observe these are divided into two types, which is the conducting one and the respiratory one. Which is the conducting one, children? Here nasal cavity, nostrils or the conducting one, and the functioning one is the alveoli. This is called the air sac. Okay, children. Shall we see the functioning of these parts? Okay. Nose. Nose is the passageway for air. We all know the air passes through the nose. Yes. Next one, nostrils. Nostrils. What is nostrils? Yes. We have the nostrils. It contains minute hair and mucosa or in the nostrils. They prevent the entry of dust and harmful germs into the lungs. Yes, you can see the nostril by looking the mirror. See, you can see the minute hair inside your nostril and mucosa also. So this prevents the entry of dust and harmful germs into the lungs. Okay, next we move on to the nasal cavity. So nasal cavity filters, warms and moistens air. Nasal cavity filters, warms and moistens air. In nostrils, dust are filtered. The second filter is the nasal cavity. Okay, now pharynx. What is pharynx? Commonly, it is called as throat. You all know what is throat, children? Yes. This is the common passageway for air, food and liquid. And larynx. Larynx is the voice box. It conducts air into lower respiratory system and it is commonly called voice box since vocal cords are present in the larynx. Okay. Next, the larynx is protected by epiglottis. Epiglottis covers larynx during swallowing. When we eat food, it covers the larynx so that food should not enter into the windpipe. Okay. Now we learn what is trachea. And trachea is the main airway. It starts at the pharynx. You can touch and you can see the trachea. This is the windpipe where the air passes through the windpipe. Okay. The trachea is protected by the cartilages. Just you keep your fingers near your throat. You can see the cartilages. Yes. Okay. It protects the trachea from the damage. Okay. Now next, windpipe is separated into bronchus, which are the branching airways. Two branches of the trachea are called primary bronchus, each open into the lungs. There are two lungs which are left lung and the right lung. Okay, the primary bronchi branches into smaller branches and create a tree-like structure. Yes, okay, they are called bronchioles. They are called bronchioles. The bronchi continue branching into even smaller bronchioles and create a tree-like structure in both the lungs. Okay, these are called bronchioles. Okay, the bronchioles ends in a alveoli. It's a bronchiole ends in a group of alveoli. The lung is made up of alveoli. The alveoli are bunches of tiny air sacs inside the lungs. Each individual sac is called alveolus. Okay, children. Now what we have seen? We have seen the parts of the respiratory system and its function. Yes. What are all the parts? Okay, nose, nostrils, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, epiglottis, trachea, bronchium, bronchioles, alveoli. Now there are pleural membranes which covers the lungs and the chest cavity. Okay, it protects the lungs. Next, rib and diaphragm or the skeletal muscle, and diaphragm is the largest muscle in our body. Okay, children. Now we will have the flow chart here. we all know the components of our respiratory system. Okay, what are all the components of the respiratory system? Yes, air enters into the nostrils, it reaches nasal cavity and it passes through pharynx and it opens the larynx and it passes through the main windpipe trachea and it reaches bronchi, and the bronchioles are further divided into bronchioles and finally it reaches alveoli. Okay. So children, once again see, the air enters nostrils, nasal cavity and pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles and alveoli. Okay children, so what is the process in breathing? So the process of breathing is inhalation and exhalation involves in the process of breathing. Okay, what is inhalation? The process of taking in air is called inhalation and this air provides oxygen to our body. What is exhalation? The process of breathing the air out is called exhalation and this air expels carbon dioxide from our body. Okay, so inhalation and exhalation together is known as breathing. Yes children, so you all know what is breathing and what is the process of inhalation and exhalation. Shall we observe this in the video? Okay children, as we have seen the process of breathing, now what is the mechanism of breathing behind it? Okay, when the oxygen enters through windpipe, the diaphragm contracts or flattens. The intercostal muscles raise the ribs, carbon dioxide exhales. The diaphragm relaxes, the intercostal muscles lowers the ribs. Okay, shall we see this briefly? Yes. What is the mechanism behind breathing in inspiration? Inspiration, when you breathe in, intercostal muscles between the ribs contract, pulling the chest walls up and out. The diaphragm muscle below the lungs contracts and flattens, increasing the size of the chest. The lungs increase in size, so the pressure inside them falls. This causes air to rush in through the nose or mouth. This is the process involved in inspiration. So what is the process in expiration? When you breathe out, intercostal muscles between the ribs relax so that the chest walls move in and down. The diaphragm muscle below the lungs relaxes and bulges up, reducing the size of the chest. The lung decreases in size, so the pressure inside increases and air is pushed up the trachea and out through the nose or mouth. So this is the mechanism of breathing. Now children, what is the respiratory system? We know, as we have seen, the three major parts of the respiratory system are airway, lungs, muscles of respiratory system. Shall we see this briefly now? Yes. What is the function of airway? What are all included in the airway? The airway includes nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, lungs. It carries air between the lungs and surrounding. Yes, the airway includes nasal cavity, as we have seen in that image. It contains nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, and lungs. Okay, it carries air between the lungs and its surrounding. Okay, what is the function of lungs? The lungs are the primary organs of the respiratory system. They are paired, cone-shaped organs. They are located near the backbone on both sides of the heart. Okay. The lungs are divided into two parts, the right lung and the left lung. The right lung contains 3 lobes and the left lung contains 2 lobes. Okay, children. Now, shall we move on to the next one? Muscles of respiration. Muscles of respiration includes diaphragm and intercostal muscles. They act as a pump and push the air in and out of the lungs during breathing. As I told you, diaphragm is the largest muscle in our body. They act as a pump and push the air in and out of the lungs. Okay, do you all know the action of pump? Yes, you have noticed the action of pump at your home. When you push, the air will be released. The same procedure follows in the respiration. Okay, children. Do you know people suffer due to smoke? Smoking is injurious to health. We all know smoking is very injurious to health. Smoke contains large amount of carbon monoxide, a toxic gas. People, when engulfed in smoke on fire, die due to suffocation. What is the meaning of suffocation? Suffocation is the state or process of dying from being deprived of air or unable to breathe. People suffer by the smoking. Okay, children. Now, shall we do an activity? Okay, now we will breathe in and breathe out. Shall we do, children? Okay. Breathe in, breathe out slowly. If you practice breathing and breathe out per minute, you will get approximately 16 to 18 times. So, approximately we breathe 16 to 18 times per minute. Okay, children, can you guess the number of times you breathe in a day? Yes, we know per minute we are breathing 16 to 18 times. Okay, in 1 hour we will breathe how many times, children? Yes, 1 hour contains 60 minutes. In 1 minute, if we breathe 16 times, in 1 hour we breathe approximately 960 times. For 1 day, we will breathe approximately 20,000 times a day. Children, you do this breathing exercise at your home and check how many times you breathe per minute. So, the average breathing of everyone is 16 to 18 times. Okay, children. Now, do you know, children, air pollution causes many respiratory diseases. Do you all know what are the diseases? Yes, you will be suffered by coughing, sneezing, and many lung diseases are formed when we breathe uncleaned air. So, even smoking can cause lung cancer. Yes, so we need to breathe a clean air. Okay, children, shall we learn the flow chart once again? Yes. Now we all know how air enters into the nostrils and it reaches the nasal cavity and it reaches pharynx and it pushes the air to larynx and it reaches trachea and it reaches bronchi and bronchioles and finally it enters into alveoli. Okay children, now observe the image. What are the components of the respiratory system? Shall we see once again? Yes, when the air enters the nose, it passes through the nostrils and it reaches the nasal cavity and the air enters through the pharynx. Pharynx is called, commonly called throat. Once the air passes through the pharynx, it opens into the larynx and the larynx is called the voice box. You all know what is voice box. The vocal cords are present here and the larynx is protected by the cartilages. Okay, and the trachea starts from pharynx and the trachea starts from pharynx and it ends. Children, have you all noticed? Yes, the air passes through the nose and it reaches nostrils and it enters the nasal cavity. Here the dust particles are filtered here and it allows the air to enter into the pharynx. Pharynx is the throat and this is the only common pipe for food, liquid and breathing. Okay, once it enters the pharynx, it reaches the larynx and after that it passes through the windpipe and the last end of the trachea is splitted into two parts, the right lung and the left lung. So the right lung is divided into 3 lobes and the left lung is divided into 2 lobes. Okay, and the air which comes inside the windpipe reaches the bronchi and it further splitted into bronchioles. So this is the primary bronchi and the bronchi is further divided into the secondary and the secondary is further divided into terminary and finally it reaches the alveoli. Now shall I ask you few questions? Will you be able to answer? Yes, you can answer these questions now. Now shall I ask you the questions? Yes. Okay. Children, left lung has dash lobes. I think you all know the answer. Now the second question, dash prevents the dust particles. Dash prevents the dust particles. Okay. Larynx are surrounded by dash. We inhale dash. We exhale dash. Children, have you noted down the answers? Yes, few more questions are here. Now, the organ which involved in respiration? Yes. Second one, dash are the primary organs of the respiratory system. Okay. Third one, the 3 major parts of our respiratory system are dash dash dash. And the last one, the largest muscle in the body. The right lung has dash lobes. Okay, shall we verify the answers with these questions, children? Yes, left lung has, you are right, 2 lobes. And dash prevents the dust particles. Yes, nostrils prevents the dust particles. Larynx are surrounded by Yes, larynx are surrounded by cartilages. Yes, you are absolutely correct. We inhale oxygen. Okay. We exhale carbon dioxide. Yes, children, very good. Now, shall we see the answers for these questions? Yes, the organ which involved in respiration is lungs. Yes. Okay. Dash are the primary organs of the respiratory system. Yes, this is also lungs. Lungs are the primary organs of the respiratory system. The three major parts of our respiratory system are, yes, what is this, children? Yes, you are right. Airway, lungs and muscles of respiratory system. And in the muscles of respiratory system, we have diaphragm and intercostal muscles. Okay, children, move on to the next question. The largest muscle in the body. I told you what is the largest muscle in our body. So, the largest muscle in the body is diaphragm. You are correct. Next, move on to the next question. Right lung has 3 lobes. Yes, children, you all done correctly. Now, children, shall we know what is inhalation and exhalation? Inhalation is the process of taking in air. Okay. What is mean by exhalation? The process of breathing the air. Okay. What is breathing? Yes. Inhalation and exhalation together form breathing. Okay, children. Can you say the flow chart? How our respiratory system works? Yes. It passes through the nostrils, it reaches nasal cavity and it reaches pharynx, larynx and it reaches trachea and bronchioles and alveoli. Okay, children. Thank you.